Cool. Back again. So, full transformation has happened.
Yes.
So, SideKick assessment, let's crack into it and see what there is.
Okay. So, what we're going to do first is just have a look at the kind of SideKick chamber position and let's see what kind of range of motion we have at the moment. And then we're going to just look at a couple of strategies and potentially how we might be able to increase that range of motion after. So, yeah, we're going to assess it, then assess the actual kind of hip flexibility, and then see what we can do to sort of improve that afterwards. So,
cool.
let's have a look at your SideKick in general and see. So where that's at the moment. Can we maybe get a little bit more range?
Full kind of kick, right? So this thing.
Yeah. Okay. Very nice. Yeah. Okay. Lovely.
Right leg.
Okay. Right. Pretty good. Yeah. And seem even-ish on both sides. Or
Definitely feels like the hip kicks out a bit.
Okay.
So if and maybe I'll go this way so I can look back at myself.
Yeah.
And everybody else can pass judgment, but I don't care.
No.
So on the right leg.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And the left leg.
Okay.
It definitely feels like I'm that way, right? And I'm aware of it, but.
So the body's kind of crouching forward a little bit more, and maybe the alignment's been lost a bit, or
yeah, something is missing there, and I feel that on my left leg. I also feel like the chamber is quite loose when it comes up. It just kind of comes to here, and then pushes out rather than being in here. Right?
Okay. So let's see what we can do with that position also. So that's where SideKick's at the moment. So let's see what we can do with a couple of the interventions maybe to try and get that.
So let's break down. Can I ask you to break down?
Of course.
What muscles are going where? What's doing all the work in this job here?
Okay. So if we were to look at the standing leg or whatever, when we're in this position here, obviously a lot of our side glutes are kicking in as such. They're working really hard to keep this kind of stable, and again also to keep us nice and aligned as such. So again, there could be a couple of factors that are bringing us forward there. Maybe it might be even something like a kind of shortened stuff at the front. So maybe a little bit of hip flexor there is kind of preventing us and sort of dragging us into this position here. So maybe them being a little bit looser might keep us a bit more upright. And then when we look at the leg that's actually kicking or whatever, to get that knee up initially, we're actually looking at sort of our kind of upper hamstring flexibility as such, and that's going to be very important to try and bring that leg kind of right up. And then to actually perform the kick itself, it's going to be a lot of our kind of adductor and kind of groin muscles here on the inside that are obviously going to kind of have an impact on how much mobility we can get. But also kind of comes into play, I suppose, is our glute flexibility on these sides. Because basically the side glutes and the adductors kind of work together a lot of the time kind of synergistically. So it would be good to just assess those and see where those are at.
Cool.
So really on the kicking leg, it's kind of upper hamstrings and glute and groin. And then for the standing leg, it's a lot more of a stabilizing thing, but clearly then when you're going into this position here, there's going to be some stretch in the groin muscles on this side also.
Core for stability.
Yeah, but big time. Like this is going to be important, as I said, to try and keep that nice alignment throughout. And sometimes, as I said, maybe if we're pulling forward that little bit, maybe it could be a tightness through the hips. If we're sitting a lot through the day, that can happen sometimes or whatever. For sure. Another thing to consider as well would be to keep us in this nice kind of upright position here would be Also looking at things like our rib cage, our diaphragm and stuff like that, like, you know, is that elevating a lot, which is kind of not the ideal alignment for kind of our rib cage, and can kind of stress out the hips a little bit by putting them on a little bit too much stress, whereas we can kind of keep that depressed and keep our pelvic floor up. It's much better at keeping us in a sort of nice alignment, as opposed to pulling my chest up and then I'm starting to so keeping those.
And that's one of the things you see a lot, like people looking for height.
Yeah.
In any kick, if it's side kick or turning kick, the body goes way down, trying to feel like the foot's going higher because your head's below it or something like that. But turning kick,
this kind of the neck turn, and they put themselves in this crap position like this, you know, trying to get up over themselves like that. You know,
I think
keeping
just that nice alignment. I think that's a huge missing key sometimes in terms of alignment. We think about our head and our hip position, we kind of forget about the bit in the middle. And that, as I said, that rib cage position can be quite important. In general, we just want to be keeping it more on the sort of depressed side or lower down side, as opposed we just want to avoid too much of this rib elevation, because again, it's actually kind of shortening our diaphragm a little bit. It's restricting our breathing. It's making us more go into our upper part of our rib cage and stuff like that.
Okay.
So they would be kind of the
but again, so that's all kind of secondary to the leg muscle.
Yeah. That's maybe our icing on the cake or whatever.
All right, so let's dig into the eggs of the flour.
Exactly. So what we're going to do first then is, let's say that we wanted to improve. So you really want to improve your left side kick out, isn't it?
Yeah, left side kick out.
Terrible example.
Chamber in general, I find the chamber knee position is quite low for me on either side, and I have a look around. It should be a tiny bit higher. So that's partly to do with just doing the strength work, but also I wonder if there's a flexibility issue there or a mobility issue there or whatever.
Yeah. Okay, so let's have you pop on your back there for a second.
I'll just fix the position.
So we're going to just quickly look then at.
Where's your one?
Yeah, just line your back there. So let's look at hamstring and adductor groin flexibility on the left side for a second. Okay, so from down here, and again, if you can just, and this is something that you can do yourself at home anyway. So if you can just bring your left leg up for a second, just yourself straight, lovely. Okay, there we go. I'm relaxing down, and then let's compare that to the right side. And really, what we're looking for here is just sort of evenness on both sides. So they are actually kind of fairly sort of even. So if you were to push that up again, and let's see, and just staying as relaxed as possible. Let's see. See, you know, there's not that much there. So this is your active kind of your active range. This is your passive range. So there's not there's not a huge gap kind of between them or whatever. So we might we will definitely do some P and F so that end range is sort of now available to you as such, but there's actually not a huge difference between your active and your end. So really you would be trying to really get further gains in terms of that hamstring. We'd be looking to do that kind of more slower kind of based flexibility work. So if we were then just to compare that to our groin mobility. So again, I'm going to get you to bring your leg out the side here just towards me. That's it. Also, exactly, it's perfect. Yeah. Okay, and let's bring that back in, and then let's just compare that to your passive. So let's bring that in best we can.
More there, definitely.
A little bit more there, definitely. Yeah, for sure.
That feels like it could go even further.
Further as well. Yeah, absolutely. But if you were to do those last two things that I did for yourself, again, this is just a little kind of
torture device?
Yes. It's called a mobility band as such. Again, if you had like a simple resistance TheraBand like this guy here, again, €3 or something from the internet, or Lidl sometimes have them and stuff like that as well. But again, this is a great little tool to have. Failing that as well, just a simple towel will do, that's fine. So there's an option there for everyone. But again, if you were to, again, just put this around your foot, grab from either side, and then we're just looking to stretch that up, and exactly, do that yourself. And now that's actually more than what I showed. So again, if we compare that, so there's your end range of the band. So this is your passive mobility, what we were talking about earlier. So just to kind of give these a little bit of a reference. So that's your passive mobility. Now let's compare that to your active mobility. So bring that leg up again. So there's not a huge difference between them as we showed with the last test. So if we were to do that with your adductors, again, we're going to bring this out the side. That's our active mobility. Now let's put the band on it. Again, this can be held. This is just a slightly handier device. And yeah, we can see there's definitely
more.
And that was a bit more kind of slightly more dramatic, let's say, than the kind of the hamstrings. Let's just put, for curiosity's sake, just see the right side of that. So let's bring it out the side by itself. Again, just to re-emphasize, that's our active mobility there. Now we're going to get the band and do it passively and see, is there more that can be got from that? And yeah, there definitely is. But as I said, if Owen was to get that leg even further up, that would then require maybe some kind of plastic changes in flexibility, which will require your longer amounts of static stretching and stuff. Now there's another caveat to that as well. If there's sometimes if there's kind of previous injuries there and stuff, they could be having a role in stopping that mobility as well. It mightn't be just a purely. There could be other links in that system from previous injuries that have happened that are now putting a bit of a, let's say, an amber or red light on the nervous system for it to do that. So it gets a little bit kind of complicated, but it's important to mention those things just so I'm kind of
bring your head back
covering my back a little bit as such, and just to give people the full picture, because to not, I'm just a little bit of knowledge can be dangerous sometimes. I mean, which is important to state also.
Looking at this whole this active passive thing is really interesting to me. Like, I mean, do you turn your active range into your passive range, or do you eat from your passive range to add to your active range? Do you extend your passive range?
I suppose ideally you're looking to get them as kind of even as possible or whatever.
And is there a hard ceiling on that stuff? Is like, this is as far as you'll ever go, or is this the stuff you increase?
I suppose that's where it to get to the very kind of extreme ranges. That's why. You might be you might be looking at anatomical differences when it comes to that, but certainly I think the vast majority of people out there, they can they can definitely improve sort of on what they have.
Okay.
Can everyone do the splits or buckle jumps on Bannon? Maybe not. I don't know.
Does everyone need it?
Does everyone need? It's more the relevant question.
So now we've done our assessment on the ranges. Where
so
do we go
what we want to do then? So look, we saw that there was a little bit with the hamstrings in terms of the difference between what you could actively do and what we could passively do with the bands. So we might look at a little bit of again, sort of calf hamstring kind of mobility to try and increase that a little bit, maybe particularly at the upper ends to try and get that last bit of kind of chambering as such, to get that higher chambering. So we're going to look at a bit of self-release / mobility work for that, and then we're going to apply some of the same kind of principles to the groin. So what we're going to start off with is so let's just say this is the student at home and they've got their 10 minutes, let's say, and how are they going to use that? They want to get that chamber higher, they want to get a slightly more flexible kind of SideKick. So what I might do initially, just to kind of warm myself up, and we were talking a bit about this kind of before, so again, just to kind of get, so as opposed to be going straight into my torture implements and trying to kill myself, I might start off with a bit of simple kind of swinging. Again, if we want to do it on the left side, we'll do the left side instead. Okay, so again, just gradually trying to get that kind of active range of motion that little bit more. And then again, we were saying we're working our hamstrings kind of quad complex, so we're going to do that little bit of forward, backward as well. So I'm curling up the heel, and then come on forward. And
so
again,
just kind of preparation for what's coming.
Exactly, and again, this is probably a bit more practical, me bending the knees.
Yeah, and probably nothing new to Taekwondo students.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'd say every class starts with something similar, side swings, front swings, or whatever.
And this isn't the main bit. This is just again so that we're not going into it absolutely cold. So again, 20-30 seconds for each of those directions is
cool.
more than enough. Okay. Then what I might do, and this is a kind of eye of the beholder stuff because there hasn't been anything proven one way or the other, which is the best way to kind of go about this. But I might, in my opinion, I always like doing my kind of foam rolling / self-release stuff first, and then I move into my little bit of mobility, whether that's mobility or static stretching or whatever it might be. That's, again, I've read a few people that follow a similar kind of principle. There's nothing proven, so whatever feels good for the person. So let's, as I said, we'll try work on this kind of calf hamstring complex first quickly. I think it's something that everyone can be doing anyway, because again there are always areas that tighten up. We've all probably got little bits of natural restriction to them. And again, some important thing to mention here as well, if we're looking to improve our kind of hamstring range, sometimes it's absolutely no harm to do a little bit on the calves also, because a lot of the time it's the same connective tissue that again is going right from the base of the foot all the way up through the back of the bum. So again, calves and hamstrings, think of them almost as the one unit. That's the way I look at it anyway. And again, the connective tissue from an anatomical perspective would sort of back that up as well. So again, I'm gonna try and get direct contact from skin to my implement of torture. Again, I'm using the ball here at the moment. You can also use your kind of foam roller. But literally what I'm looking to do, and I get that a little bit more. Yeah, of course.
See if we can make a difference to what I'm doing.
Yeah, of course. So again, I might just start down at the kind of calf complex. Feels lovely work. And what I'm doing
feels
here,
lovely.
I'm going to start on my outside here, so I'm turning my foot out, then I go through the middle, and then I go towards the inside. Okay. So again, I should really take this other shoe off, place that there, so I'm a bit more comfortable. Okay. So again, I'm just doing that maybe for literally about 30 seconds or so. I might do 3, 3, and 3. That's probably a nice little way to start. Then what I might do for a bit is try find where those kind of, again, physios hate using this term, but the kind of more sort of, let's say, knottier kind of areas or whatever that will tend to, a lot of the time, to be in the centre of the calf. And what I might do on that is just a little bit of side to side action.
Flossing, is that one of the terms?
Yeah, a little bit. And again, what we're working at here, just for if there's any physios looking at this and they're kind of going crazy, we're not actually trying to break down scar tissue or nothing like that, but again, we can maybe have a slight effect on the connective tissue by creating some heat underneath it. So again, that's what we're trying to do here, more so than kind of break down scar tissue, shall we say. Okay, and once that, again, maybe after a period of time, up to about a minute, that will start to probably feel a little bit easier. Okay, and again, that could be a sign that the connective tissue is starting just to soften a bit. Again, we're not breaking anything down, but this has been a shown effect within the physiology. So again, once that's done, we're at about 90 seconds or now. I might do my last little bit in terms of just trying to, again, do a little bit of a stretch with the release. So what I'm going to do now is, as the ball comes up towards the back of my knee, it's starting down here at the ankle, I'm going to pull the toes up with it. Okay, and back down, and then pull those toes up with it again, and then release the foot. And then go into my inside and pull up again, and again we might do that in 3 little rotations, so 3 times, 3 times, 3 times. Okay, and then again, it's similar enough to our kind of hamstring complex. As I said, we could start down at the back of the knee here and just work our way up towards the butt in those 3 kind of planes. And again, we could even add in the little bit of calf stretching. It's not quite as good down here, because again we need to get a little bit of knee lift to really get that kind of stretch release feeling across the hamstring. But another release I like to do, especially because we were looking at the upper hamstrings, is actually something that's going to involve the finger. So this is probably a better position to have your shorts on, but I'll just show you through the treads anyway. So if I'm in this position here, again, this is very similar to the chambered position that we want to get into in the first place. So what I'm going to do here is just get into a little bit of a stretch position, and then I'm going to work on these kind of upper hamstrings, literally just with my fingers, just going across and back, trying to feel where those kind of not so nice areas are, and just, yeah, exactly, give them a little bit of kind of flossing with my fingers. Okay, so this is how I would sort of address my kind of foam rolling for my upper fibres of hamstring. Okay, and that would be pretty much how I would sort of address that.
Okay.
If I was to then follow up with some kind of mobility after that, so this is where I might grab yourself for a second.
Yeah.
So if you want to lie down there on your back for a sec, okay? And let me see the best way. So again, if we were to do a kind of PNF on this, so again, this is after I've done that sort of amount of release work on it. What I might do next is, again, what I'm looking to do, and I'll show you how to do the self version in a second, but again, I'm looking to get here, and then to put about 40% pressure into my shoulder. So again, if you have a partner, great. If you don't, I'll show you how to do it yourself in a second. So we're just going to push down that.
Doesn't matter whether the toes pull back or push forward. Or...
Ideally, in this position, we're going to have the foot relaxed when we're contracting, but after that, about 8 seconds at about 40%, so we can then relax the leg. Now we pull the toes towards us, and we start to get that kind of increase. So again, this ties into what we were saying, we're stretching that whole line. When you bring the toes, you're getting a stretch through the calf as well as the hamstring.
Yeah.
They really do
it, right?
work together as such. But again, if we were to do this practically kind of ourselves, again, it's a little bit more awkward to do that kind of PNF type stuff kind of by yourself, but sometimes we can get away with it with a towel. Again, if we can get it hooked in to the back of our heel a little bit, yeah, kind of like so. And again, this is the sort of, or the kind of straight leg. Again, we can get a little bit of effect, about 40%, before we try and get that range up that little bit more. Okay, and
many
then
of these should you do? 2, 3, 10?
Oh, you're looking at 3 reps by 8 seconds. That would be the classic kind of physiotherapy guidance. Now, to get the upper hamstrings going a little bit more, what we might do, because we've again in theory, we've done our calf, we've done our mid hamstrings and our upper hamstrings, that finger release. So what we might do is bring that in and get you to hold there. And what you're going to do this time is we're going to try and just push with our heel into the tail without kind of moving, just about 40%. And then when you relax, you're going to try and bring that knee closer in towards you and try and extend that leg out, if that makes sense. So this is how we're trying to get the upper hamstring / glute fibers.
Right. I feel that right in the top of the hip, right?
Do you, in the
capsule or whatever it is.
Okay.
Just right across the front here is where I feel that really pinch.
Okay, so maybe.
But that could just be me.
No. That's
so just so I'm clear, so when we push, the knee is bent and we bring it up as kind of end range as far as we can.
Yeah, exactly.
And pushing the heel.
Yeah. So from here, just to make sure I am doing alright. So from here. Again, yeah. Somewhere there. So again, I might have to play around with that range. You certainly do feel it at the front, and again, that's more just pressures from your quad / hip flexor fibers. But again, you might have to just play around with the amount of straightening that you get before you really feel that kind of extra bit of stretch
in the hams.
So yeah, so again, that's kind of my. With PNF, it's really important as well to mention that we generally want to bring ourselves. We want to start from where we're at that resistance point. So here's my upper hamstring flexibility. That's about my resistance point. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is for 8 seconds, I'm going to push in this direction, sort of almost down in this direction here. So I'm pushing with the heel. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, just about 40%. Relax everything and try and get that little bit more straightening.
Should you try to straighten the leg or?
Yeah, you can't, like, again,
You're trying to hit the top of the hamstring, that's the point, right?
Exactly. So again, if I was to test that, it's usually like a passive knee kind of extension position. That's what I'm looking for, really.
Yeah.
So again, it does put a little bit of pressure on the front of the hip also.
Cool.
And then if I was to kind of follow that up with my sort of groin stuff, what we might look at then is again some release for the inner groins. And for this, I tend to like my foam roller that a little bit more. And what I'm going to do in this position is a bit again from here. So hopefully they can see it here. Again, I'm going to add a little bit more of an angle this time. So the foam roller is going to start at the knee and it's going to work towards my kind of groin area here. I can also come down onto my elbows to make this a little bit more comfortable. So again, then what I'm looking to do is just get all the way to the top and then release myself there. Also help I got them all the way. Sorry, this. So again, just getting that little bit of pressure and on the back. And again, you're going to get some particular kind of sort of knot points or where the kind of centres of contraction are within the muscle. Again, where all those fibres kind of meet in the middle to produce the movement. You're generally going to get that right between smack bang in the middle of the knee and the actual tendon itself. So that's where I would hone in most of my kind of work, because that tends to be where most of the restrictions from a connective tissue perspective will come from. I'm just again, at this stage I'm not even going down towards the knee as much, so I really feel the tightest parts are coming from here all the way to the top of the groin. So
again, what sort of reps range until it's comfortable, or?
Well, generally the guidelines would suggest, even though they haven't proven anything on this yet, you're looking at no more than 2 minutes per limb. Okay. So it's fairly kind of, it's not a huge time.
So I mean, it's not a big thing then to do this whole sort of routine where you start with the ball, you work through the calf and the hamstring, you do the other release, then you do a little bit of assisted stretching with the band and a little bit of foam roll, and that's your sort of 10 minutes done.
Yeah, and as I said to you the last time, the way I like to do this, so we're getting towards 2 sections now, but I would literally just have one day where it's just going to be calves and hamstrings. You're just going to have that 10 minutes. It's going to be really focusing on that area, and that's it. Forget about it. Don't even worry about it. The next day, you can go onto the groins or and do the same kind of thing. The next day, you might look at kind of quads and hip flexors or something. Wherever you might, or maybe you need to do a day, you're working a lot in an office and your back's feeling absolutely kind of jacked and stiff, and maybe you might need to do a day on the back of it. But again, just that's the main thing to take away. Just don't try and do everything in the same day, because it just gets impossible. And it's too much of a minute to climb each time, to try and sort of do that.
So just to really then drive home, keep the focus on improving the SideKick and the training. What else? Where have we gone now? So we've done our kind of mobility and our mobilisation and
and in terms of our kind of calf and hamstring, we're looking just a little bit there in terms of our groin at the end there as well. So that would be really the kind of foam rolling section of it, and it's easier to do those kind of active releases where we're pulling the toes up and stuff when we're on the when we're on the kind of calves and hamstrings. It's harder to do that when you're dealing with the groin. It's really about just getting that little bit of pressure on the area that's kind of bearable. And again, look, if it just feels absolutely horrible and you don't like it, it's almost making you cry or something, maybe foam rolling isn't the strategy for yourself.
Give me a go on the roller and I'll do this for a minute and see if we made any improvement on these kicks.
Yes. Yeah. And then after this, we're going to give you just a little bit of a stretch on those adductors. That's pretty much it, though. Sorry, I'm getting this out of your way. My bad.
That's fairly miserable.
Yeah. No, never going to be great. That's it. And again, it's probably just about getting nice and specific.
Ooh. Okay, I'm not gonna.
Yeah.
Just because I don't want to just.
Yeah. Fair.
session of me just sitting there on a roller. So I'll just do a few.
But that's it, yeah. Like, and again, it's whatever's kind of more comfortable. So you can control that with the hand. If you want, you can drop down to the elbow. Whatever's kind of comfortable for yourself.
Right, so that's
pressure.
Calves, hammies. Foam roller on this.
And then, so we just want to do maybe a tiny bit of our kind of groin mobility before we
go kicking again.
Exactly.
So what's that entail?
So we looked at our kind of basic adductor stretch the last time.
Yeah.
So just again, if we were to maybe bring that on a little bit more, or let's even just show you the simple kind of PNF version. We've probably shown this to your students before anyway. Again, and this is not a bad stretch to do by any manner of means. It's our classic kind of butterfly stretch. We're going to go through one or two more, but again, if we can get into this position, again, use our elbows as a little bit of a helping hand. Try and keep it aligned as best we can, so we're not going to slouch back. We're trying to, again, I don't want to pull going through your spine at the same time, but again, I just don't want to slouch forward because again, we're affecting the connective tissue. And once I feel I'm in a good position, and again, I'm at my resistance point, but I'm not in pain. Like, this is a good stretch, but again, I'm definitely not kind of grimacing. And then going for my 8 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Relax, and let that come down a little bit more. Okay, and again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Just at 40% pressure, and relax, and let that open. A little bit more, and again, I'm just trying to think of things that would be really practical, and this is something we can definitely do. And it doesn't matter if you start up here; it's wherever you individually feel.
I know, right? I say to the kids to do this, and just like knees to the floor.
Yeah.
And they look at me like,
if
"What?
Only,
you can't do this?" And
if only.
Yeah, we're not all made of Play-Doh.
That's exactly the Play-Doh idea for sure. Other things that I might do quickly. So that's a quick kind of 30-second stretch that we can get on kind of both sides. A position that I one of my favorite positions to try and stretch the groin is actually this kind of, if it's available for people, well, it should be available for
this
most
is
people. Quite a standard kind of stretch, I suppose, in a way. Absolutely. What I'm trying to do there, though, if I can, the real idea here is trying to get that heel as close to my calf as I can, really try and increase that stretch. So again, this foot is staying at a slight angle to the side,
but pointed forward nearly rather than pointed out.
Exactly, we don't want it that way at all. It's pretty much forward, very, very slight.
Why? Why? I know to do this, but I don't know why. Why do we point that toe forward?
I suppose we might be putting maybe a little bit of when that foot starts to turn out, we're kind of getting out of the plane of the adductors.
Okay.
It is probably the most, when it's in that position, that's when we target the adductors the most, because it's in a good alignment then.
So it's actually, you're not stretching what you want to do.
Yeah, exactly. When that foot starts to turn over, the whole leg will start to rotate, so we start to target maybe more of our kind of, IT band, quad almost, or something as we, a little bit. But look, that might be, at the same time, if you stretch the hell, let's say, with that foot in the orthodox position, and you don't feel like you're getting much stretch anymore, but say if you turn and you start to get a little bit more stretch.
Does it matter about the body, upright, or do you care in this position? You could just in the groin?
I want to,
should we reinforce that position? Because that's where we want to kick, right? That's basically a side kick with the chamber, right? Or with the extension. So maybe I don't know.
No. I think that's a good point, and it makes it a little bit more specific. But what I would be trying to do in that position, I might be just trying to sit down a little bit more, trying to keep that kind of squat position better. Because I think that's a little bit more kind of better sort of body alignment in general, or whatever. Whereas if we start to stretch with that forward, again, this is now a component which is adding to the stretch. Whereas in real life, for you, you're going to be always wanting to be
here, right?
Here. So that's probably You know what I'm kind of saying? Like if we start to introduce this,
then with a kick this way, right?
Yeah. Or the body can only do that stretch.
And it's the exact thing we want to avoid: the banana kick or the
overhead or too much pressure forward.
So, or something. Yeah, we can use that. And I've seen variations on this against the wall and stuff like that. People.
100%.
You know,
100%. It's one of my favorite. Again, if this is too much initially, what you can always do is, as you said, use a bit of assistance. Now, this is more to start the stretch than to get into the extreme ranges. But again, I've seen people do this with a
Swiss ball or something.
Yeah, Swiss ball, or else you're kind of jumping, blocking stuff like that. Yeah, exactly, to try and get them initially, and then they eventually work. As I said, the main goal, boom, towards the calf as best you can. And that will really bring it. And again, if you're not getting any more stretch, as you said, that's a really good point. And you get a little bit more stretch to the foot turned out, and it gets slightly different fibres, no harm. As long as it's not putting you into pain, or you're starting to feel bad stuff with the knee, it's actually no harm to turn that foot out. And a lot of the more kind of forward-thinking guys will sort of go, well, it doesn't have to be done the classic way. Where are you actually kind of restricted? And
should we just?
That was actually a really good question. 100%, and very important one. So the last thing I'd say for your SideKick training, so we've looked at all the kind of mobility aspects, so to speak. The last thing would be, because again, this chain position is obviously requiring a lot of our single leg strength. So a quick little drill we might do for that. And again, these are all quick and efficient. This would be really, I'd be looking to do maybe 2 sets on each side, roughly take about 30-40 seconds per set. But it's a very simple kind of hip hike exercise. Again, we'll try and keep that knee up as high as I can. Obviously that's when it makes it, and I can hold balance. And what I'm trying to do is just hike the hip and then come back. Again, I'm not even that worried about really controlling it on the way back. I'm just letting it fall back down and then come back up. And again, back, come back down.
Standing foot stays straight.
And this is where we can make it a little bit more specific for Taekwondo. So if you're cycling, you were saying that kind of 70-degree foot position, you could maybe start from that 70-degree foot position, roughly. Yeah, very nice.
And just rotate. So you're really just rolling into the.
Yeah, you're just like kind of hiking up.
Balance.
And then it's much and it's harder again on those mats.
Well,
I look like I'm drunk here.
But the mats are good because they remove the. They add extra.
Exactly, it's an unstable surface.
It's
increasing perturbation, which is actually making it. Will make it easier when you get to.
Yeah, I mean that's a whole other debate. Should you always train on the surface you compete on and whatever? But
I think generally you should, but I think if you're looking to get that extra little bit.
Yeah, all my students be saying, when are we getting the mats now? And I'm like, never, because we can't store them anywhere.
Yeah, exactly. But what you could do with that position, because you're much better than this than I am, you could actually start to maybe turn with that a little bit. And it's just a way of not having to do a side kick every time, but you're really strengthening the hips in that position. And that's an exercise that I use all the time for my field sports athletes, and it's a really good way of building that single leg
sets, reps.
Again, as I said, the most important thing with this exercise, if I can ever show it at all, is again, I'm really just looking to go to fatigue, and fatigue on the standing leg. That's the one that's doing all the work.
Okay.
A lot of people think because that leg is moving, that's the one working. This is the guy that we're really trying to get the fatigue into.
Yeah, that's an interesting one, right? People who kick with their right foot generally have a stronger left.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. No. Exactly. Yeah, because they're balancing that all the time.
Take off and stuff.
Exactly. So it's a roughly around a 30-40 second, but basically until the standing leg feels really tired. If you're a bit weak there, that might be a little bit less. If you're very strong, that might be a little bit more. But really, fatigue in that area is the key to knowing it's enough of such, because that's the only way they really adapt. Your glute means we're really looking to just get more and more endurance.
This is really cool, right? For me, because like I said earlier when we were talking before, there's loads of great stuff out there about how to drill really high level kicks, and I've seen great stuff for Juche with the hoop and you're spinning around your foot.
Amazing. And you showed me that video. That guy is like a gymnast. He's like
I mean it's brilliant, like, but not everyone's at that level, and you can't just go there straight away, right? So this kind of stuff, these simple starting positions to help you on, like for the guys that have been training for a couple of months and they want to find a way to springboard their kicking on, I think this stuff is really useful, you know.
Like, you're talking like all it would take to get a really good workout, let's say with that, you're talking about 2 or 3 times a week and literally about minute to 90 seconds per side. So
yeah.
2-3 minutes.
And it's really good. Like,
3 minutes. I guarantee you, I would put my hand on my heart, you will, if you're actually doing that, you will definitely feel stronger in that single position.
Yeah.
It's a notable physios and sports therapists and whatnot as the weakest muscle in the body or whatever. You know,
the glute or
that side glute. We often get.
And it's so important for kicking in Taekwondo, right?
Yeah. For single leg, this is what's holding you up. This is what's stopping you from going like that all the time.
And
your kind of leg strength. So I think they're particularly.
I think this is a really good one. I think people will get real value out of that. And if you're humble enough to know, right, okay, I'm a black belt, but I've neglected my kicking for a few years, and now I have to kind of build the base up again, right? Or you're a colour belt starting out and you want to build that. You can't go straight to head high side kicking and hold.
100%.
Mark Trotter with his
if you can, as you say, be humble enough and the big thing is just being diligent. All these things do take a little bit of time, but again,
that's discipline, right? That's down to you as people, right?
The thing about it is, it doesn't require hours on end. You can get really good results with 5-10 minutes.
Cool.
You know, that's the big take home. It's all about working smarter, not harder. That's, again, I'm coining that from another physio, but it's very true phrase to work by as such. And you know, and break it up for yourself. So again, adductors one day, hamstring class the next day.
Let's see if it made a difference.
No, probably nothing now.
Probably nothing. Well, we didn't do the full set, right? Let's see if we have any change, right?
Maybe.
Feels stronger to me, probably not.
Yeah, like, and look, that's
the important one was the left one was kicking. Let's see if we've corrected it in any way. That a little bit, but still goes a little bit out, and the toes aren't right.
Yeah, no, don't worry. Pressure's on.
You know, I can see how it feels like there's more in it.
A little bit more activation to it, perhaps, or whatever.
Yeah, I can feel like when I squeeze at the end of the kick, that there's more coming from everywhere, right?
And that's literally from just waking those muscles up a little bit, you know. And you know, we were kind of half down, half strong, so you know, maybe we didn't get the full extent of the exercise.
Yeah, for sure.
But look,
really cool.
Do your best.
I just want to see if we got anything on this, because
of course.
Dr. Payne is up. Have we any questions for Dr. Payne? No.
That's fair.
Oh. Bingo. Let's have a look. So.
Okay.
And it's actually quite topical because. Any suggestions for training with arthritis in hips? Stretch kick like crazy as normal?
Okay, very good. Okay, excellent. Well, the main thing.
Video response here.
Okay, how's it going? Alright, by the way. Thank you so much for the question. The main thing really to say with that is like to keep training. Definitely. A lot of people think when they get arthritis, they hear that A word or such, that they have to stop everything, that they have to kind of take it easier. You really, you know, it's the main
and a bit more.
To say with that is like to keep training. Definitely, a lot of people.
I'll add a bit more to that just to tie it on. I'll let you kind of turn, do, yeah, sure, everywhere. I don't care. Come on. Done. Add another bit. And let's keep going. Maybe I can respond. Go.
No. So getting back to that question about arthritis and what to do. You know, as I was saying before as well, it's about listening to your body, and you know, obviously if it's if stuff is creating pain and stuff, maybe we have to hold back from it a bit. But in general, no. Keep going with what you're doing.
Videos are too short.
Like, you know, it's great that you are still training with this element, and there's absolutely nothing really to stop you. In terms of what practical stuff could we look at that? I suppose in particular with hip arthritis, it's really about kind of keeping kind of mobility as best you can. So maybe stuff like our kind of very simple kind of one leg circle kind of maneuvers, I think are really nice to keep a little bit of fluidity within the hip joint, to keep everything kind of nice and loose and nice and kind of, it's again your kind of WD-40 on the old bike chain would be a nice little analogy there. And maybe it might just require a little bit of that work before you get trained. So, but again, I'm talking about arriving maybe 5 minutes earlier and just warming up your hips. Again, going back to those kind of leg swings and stuff like that, just to make sure that there's nice fluid running through that area before you kind of get going. Because obviously with arthritis we can have that little bit more stiffness and stuff. So that would be my main thing before you start the activity. Just make sure that we're nice and warm. And again, you don't even have to lie on your back. You can do those hip circles standing. So again, inwards, outwards, very kind of simple stuff. But fair play, keep going with the training, keep going with it. Don't let anything stop you. If you get into severe pain, like that can be a little bit of a marker, but by the sounds of things, that isn't the case there. And,
no, I know who asks that question now there. Not a shabby kicker at all, anyway.
Okay, very good.
But it's a good question. So
no, absolutely. But I would just say, just make sure you're warm before starting, and you might have to do that a little bit more than everyone else. That's a bit
nice.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we've kind of done a huge chunk here. Like, we covered sort of dynamic and static stretching and what to do. Then we looked at the SideKick, the active ingredients of it,
PNF
and ways we can mobilise it. PNF. The two mentalities in PNF, soft and short for little bits of activation, and then hard and insane for end of session stuff.
Yeah.
But also then a little bit of a nice interesting question about arthritis in your hip. Yeah, and then
maybe some single leg strength and stuff as well.
This one especially, the single leg hip hike is a really nice one for people of all levels, to kind of get in, and for really high level it's great to just activate, and for really beginning level it's really good for starting to build that.
And one thing to say about that is, because obviously with a really nice cycle you want to get that knee chamber as high as possible. That's my understanding now anyway. So yeah, keep working on that at the same time. Again, maybe we start here, but again, through time, as the muscles and the nervous system gets a little bit more settled and it has the confidence that it can do that, you can push that at the same time.
And all of this will go in tandem with the stuff you're doing in class. Instructors will have this all hand at the wall, SideKick till you're blue in the face. There's loads of great stuff. These are just more little strings your body can take and do at home.
And again with that as well, if you're really struggling, like I was there, give yourself a little bit of balance energies. Absolutely no problem. And again, you're working towards within a week or two to have that hand away and to be a little bit more comfortable.
Cool.
With that. There's always a step you can take back or whatever else, and again that's really important to say as well. Doesn't have to be the ring on the leg.
And we all want to be there. That's years of training and it takes time.
Yeah.
We're all wasn't built in a day and all that.
You're seeing the end product there. A lot of work already.
Cool. I mean, look, I think we should kind of round this off there. If people are enjoying sessions with Dr. Payne, Mr. Luke Gibbons, we can do a few more. We can if you're available, obviously, and if people want to find it, or if you have specific parts you want to, like maybe you want to break down, dolly ochagi or banding dolly ochagi or jumping techniques or something like that we can look at the mechanics, and I'll be the guinea pig and he'll be the conductor, and we can try and find out stuff like that. I know I get great value out of this sitting here, and I get to chill out with my friend, which is cool.
Always a pleasure.
So anyway, if you like the video, give it a share, give it a like, give it a subscribe, and all of that. And if you want to know more about Luke, you can find him. He's all over Facebook as well. And cool. Thank you for coming. Thanks, and we'll see you. And thank you, Mr. Luke. I'll see you soon.
Cheers, man.
Take care. Cheers. Bye bye.